Hello, everyone, and this is week 24 for College Ready seminar after spring break. And here are some group learning agreements, which are be present and pay attention, respect people's stories and contribution, and to take notes when it is necessary. So as always, we go through our vision and our mission statement. So the YSP's vision is to elevate people's growth mindset so we all achieve higher ambition. And our mission is to guide first generation high school students so they will pursue and obtain a college education. So what are the purpose for these college ready seminars? It is to guide you towards being ready for college, build your portfolio to prepare for college and scholarship applications, and to increase your awareness of who you are and what direction you want to go. All right, so to prepare for the session, ask for you to open your YSP journal and to take notes for your assignments. So an update, so we have been working on the summer's activities playbook the past couple weeks, and by this time it has to be completed. If not, you have to sign up for advisory and you have to come in to work on it, and it has to be completed. If not, you cannot renew your YSP membership for next year. All right. So besides from that, we will be reviewing what we learned last week, which is week 23. We're talking about college lists and college choices. So you have to choose your college wisely because it can heavily impact your career, because based off the different academic programs they offer, it will most likely help you choose a specific career you want to go into. And friends, because you make a lot of connections. People say your college friends are the ones that last the longest. And future location. People tend to stay where they are from college and just work there. And that's just the tendency and pattern. But all in all, at the end of the day, it is your college, it'll be your choice and your decision. We can only give you factors to consider and you make the decision. All right, so today we'll be continuing this topic on choosing your college options. And the objective of this session is to learn important terms associated with college and to start assessing factors for your college choices. So we have made you read the different types of colleges and what it offers, and we will be reviewing this again, but we'll be doing this more in depth. So to start off with, we have liberal arts college. It is usually 4 years, so you can get your bachelor's degree, and some of them also awards master's degrees. And the emphasis is on liberal arts education. So it's very broad education in social science, humanities, and sciences. We typically offer a liberal arts major just so you can have a broad understanding of all of these understanding. And because it is a liberal arts colleges, the class sizes and enrollment's a lot smaller, so you get more attention for your professors, your faculty, and it's just nice having someone to know your name, right? And the emphasis is on teaching rather than research, and universities tend to focus more on research rather than teaching. So again, that is your choice on what you prefer. And there are both public and private liberal arts colleges. So what are some examples? So some well-known ones would be like Claremont McKenna in SoCal, and Brown, which is an Ivy League, and Pomona College also is a liberal arts college. Now to move on, four-year universities, these are the ones you guys are probably most familiar with because all of our counselors are from four-year university. So what do you get out of a four-year university? You can get a bachelor's degree, you can get a master's, a PhD, a law, medical degree, because there's just so much to offer from a university because it is such a big school. And it typically is emphasis on liberal arts education or specialized training. So it depends on your major and depends on which university you want to go to. But again, like I said at first, it is a very strong emphasis on research. A lot of professors will always recruit students to help them on their research, or you can always apply or cold email professors like so you can get a spot in the research team. And yes, there's really large enrollments and larger class sizes than four-year colleges or four-year liberal art colleges. And it also could be public or private. And to give you an estimate of how big the enrollment size can be, some general classes are probably 400 people, 400 people. And then I think the biggest class in Berkeley is around 1,000 to 2,000 people for computer science. So CS61A, which is the class everyone needs to take to declare either computer science, engineering, or data science. So a lot of people take that class, and it is one of the biggest class we have. So some examples, obviously Berkeley, another one, UCLA, and Cal State East Bay is also an example of four-year university. So here are the type of colleges that serves the traditionally underserved communities. So what is an example of that? So HBCUs, which is historically Black colleges and universities, is an example of the type of college and the community they serve. Tribal colleges for Native Americans, Hispanic serving institution, and women's colleges. So these are typically the people who you do not find in colleges due to a lot of, history. And some examples of this will be Wellesley. Wellesley is a very well-known all-women's college. It's also a liberal arts college, I believe. And another example would be Morehouse College. It's a very well-known HBCU. Yeah. And now to move on, we'll be talking about community colleges. So community college can award you an associate's degree or certificates of study. So that's what you get out from a two-year CC. And it typically prepares students to either transfer you to a four-year university while you're trying to get an associate's degree or a certificate of study. And it can offer technical trainings in specific occupation like bookkeeping, culinary arts, a lot of very special stuff. And most of them have an open admission policy. So you only need a high school diploma or equivalent to take classes and get an associate's degree. But I know some CCs offer, if you haven't graduated from college, if you haven't graduated from high school the traditional way, you can get a GED high school diploma through a CC, but only some of them have it. So you have to research and look for it. And high school students can also take colleges at a CC, but you can't be awarded an associate's degree or certificates of study until you're done with your high school. And most of them are non-residential. So students typically live off campus. And because of that, students typically attend part-time or full-time. Yeah. And public CCs have very low fees, and they're very well known for that. And if you apply for FAFSA, I think the first 2 years of CC in California is free. Yeah, I think so. And some examples would be Berkeley City College and San Jose City College, the neighboring CCs in this community. So technical or professional school, or as we can say, tech school. So they usually award certificates of study for career-specific programs. So you typically go in with a career in mind and you try to get a certificate so that you can prove that you have been through this program and you know what you're doing. So some examples would be auto repair, computer technology, medical assistance, bookkeeping or accounting. Some stuff I also saw online are plumbing, electrical, mechanics, radiology, stuff like that. And some do award associate's degree. It just depends. And some CC offer similar certificate programs at a lower cost. So it depends on which you would prefer. So some examples would be Bauman College. I searched that up and it's a culinary school, which is really cool. And they have CV, which is adult and career educations. I think that's what it's called. And so here's a degree pathway. So if you So this basically shows you what you can get out of a college you choose to attend. So let's do the traditional route. So most people either go to a 2-year community college or a 4-year college or university. So let's go through the 2-year first. So if you go through the 2-year college, you can either get a certificate, an associate's degree, or an associate's degrees for transfer. And if you do transfer, you already have most of your general education done. So you can go to get a bachelor's degree and do 2 more years at the 4-year university and get a 4-year bachelor degree. Yeah, if you have more questions on that, you can contact me. But a 4-year college can get you a bachelor's degree. So that's like the lowest degree or the least amount of years you need to complete. And then it goes up to master's, which takes another 2 years, depending on the program, but typically 2 years. And then you get a PhD, and you can get doctoral degrees and professional degrees. Yeah. Okay. So now that you have learned all of the different school type and I have described everything for you, I want you to rank your preferences in your journal. So once you have ranked it, so you just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5. But I want you to rank it. Okay. I will show you my school type. So the first one I would go for is a university because there's a lot more to offer. There's typically more, there's more variety of majors and programs. So because when I went into college, I don't really know what I want to do. I only know I want to do general business or economics. So I did not want to limit myself to just those 2 choices. So I chose a university just in case I take another class and I want to learn something different and pursue a different major. So that's why I did university. And then the next one I did was a liberal arts college because I preferred to just go through the 4-year traditional route rather the 2 in CC and another 2 in a university or college. So that's why I did liberal arts college for second. And then the third option would be to get a community college, go to community college. So then I can at least transfer to another college to get a bachelor's degree. So that's what I wanted. And then the fourth one would be a technical school because I thought it'd be kind of cool if I just have a certain certificate or an associate's degree in something very specific so I can start working and then perhaps go get a bachelor's degree afterwards. And then the last one is College of Underserved Community because I don't really fit into most of these categories except for being a woman. So that's why I put that as last. So what are your preferences? Please write it down in your notebook. It's also a question on your assignment if you want to get started on that. And then I'll be talking about factors that you need to choose. Oh no. Okay. So some factors you need to decide on is the size. So how big do you want your school to feel and be? So you would look at that by looking at the total student population and looking at how big typical freshman classes are, keeping in mind that universities typically have bigger classes and colleges typically have smaller. And then location. Like we said at first, location is important because it typically decides on where you want to stay for your job and your career in the future. And that you also need to consider how far the college is from home. I specifically chose Berkeley because it's far from home. I'm from LA and from SoCal, so it's kind of far for me to go home. So the only thing I have to worry about is transportation to go home on breaks. But I do like that it's far because I have my own freedom. My parents can't constantly call me or bug me about stuff. And being rural, urban, or suburban setting, You have to consider that because some people prefer it to be in a more urban setting because they like having buildings and having everything close by. Some people like suburban settings because they want it to be more residential, but they also want to have stuff near them. Or do you just want to be completely isolated and be in a rural area and just focus on your studies? And because to add on to that, how do you want the area surrounding the campus to look like? Because it is actually a really major factor for people. And keep in mind that Berkeley or UC Berkeley is a suburban urban setting because we're in a lot of residential area, but we also have a lot of stuff like restaurants and work near us. All right, next, people. So who are the students? Where do they come from? So typically universities or privates have more international students. So if you want to do that, you would choose university over community college. But again, what it is your preference on which factors you prioritize over the other. Again, academics, you should look at what majors are available to see if there's any that you like. So you don't just go in with like, oh, I want to do this, but turns out you don't like that and you don't have a backup plan for what else you want to study. You should look at who's teaching the courses because some professors are Nobel Prize winners and they have won a lot of awards for their research and maybe you want to learn from them. And the academic reputation of the college. Yeah, that's a thing. The more prestige colleges typically have an upper hand or sometimes have an upper hand when you're finding jobs. So you have to, sometimes you can consider that or not, depending on how you're feeling. And social, I think this is a pretty important aspect. So you should look at the clubs and teams that are available. Are you a big sports person? If you love football and you ended up at UCI and they don't have a football team, how would you feel? Right? So you should look at what sports teams there are, what clubs there are. Is there something you like? If you're into Greek life, you should look for frats and sororities to see if they have any and their reputation for that. And I know cost is the most important factor for almost everyone, but remember there's a lot of scholarships. The government gives a lot of financial aid if you're low income. And yeah, but the cost will obviously be almost the number one factor, but when you're choosing colleges, you don't really have to, when you're applying to them, you don't have to keep that much of cost into your mind because you can always get scholarships. Again, think about all these different factors: size, location, people, academics, social, and cost. But we're going to exclude cost for now because there's a lot of ways you can minimize the cost. Okay, now go to your journal and rank your preferences for these factors. Okay. Oops. All right, so I'm gonna share mine. So for me, academics was the most important one because obviously at the end of the day, I want a bachelor's and I want a degree for something I want to study. So that's why I ranked that as number one. Number two was location. I really just wanted to be away from home. So location was pretty important to me. And third was people. 4 was social and 5 was size. I was fine with whatever size college or classes. It didn't really matter to me that much because I feel like I'll do fine with a small class or a big class. There's pros and cons. So that's why I ranked it that way. Okay. So there's that. After ranking that, there is a Kahoot. I made a Kahoot. So if you want to test your knowledge and all that, because I know there was a lot of information to unpack regarding the different options you have and the different factors to consider based off your options. There's a lot. So if you want to see if you can memorize and test out your knowledge, click on this or just type out this link. I will also put it into the YouTube video description. And I will not go through it with you right now. This is the end. So I want to remind you a couple things before you stop this video. So remember to complete your summer's activities playbook, because Audie will be sending notification for you to come in. And that if you're watching this video because you didn't attend one of the sessions, then you have to do the assignments, which is right here. It will also be in the description below. And that is it for today.